The biggest battle you'll ever fight isn't out there. It's the one inside your own mind. Every day. Whether you realize it or not, you're standing on the battlefield of your own potential. And the fight isn't against time, money, or circumstances. It's between two versions of you. One version seeks comfort, makes excuses, and settles for less. The other is built for discipline, driven by vision, and hungry for growth. The question is, which one are you allowing to lead? This battle is not about talent or luck. It's about choice. Because no matter what's happened in your past, no matter how many setbacks you've faced, you still get to decide who you become from this moment forward. You can either keep feeding the weaker self, the one who procrastinates, complains, and waits for life to change, or you can make the decision to kill it off and rise into the strongest, most capable version of you. Today, I'm going to show you how to win that inner war. Not with hype or hollow motivation, but with real, timeless principles that will help you build the life you were meant to live. You'll learn how to discipline your mind, sharpen your habits, and make decisions that align with your highest self. Not your excuses. This is the turning point. No more hiding behind hesitation. No more negotiating with weakness. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I show you exactly how to eliminate your weaker self and unlock the life that's waiting on the other side. Let's dive in. Number 1. Own the war inside you. There's a silent war happening inside you every single day. One voice whispers, take the easy road. Another urges, do the hard thing that matters. One tells you to stay in bed, to skip the workout, to delay the dream. The other voice calls you higher. This inner battle isn't imaginary, it's real. And the first step to eliminating your weaker self is recognizing that this war exists and that it never takes a day off. Most people lose this battle before they even know it's happening. They wake up and unconsciously allow their weaker self to take the lead. They let comfort make decisions. They let emotions set the schedule. They let fear determine their future. But if you want to grow, if you want to rise, you must step up and take full responsibility for your inner world. You must own the war inside you. You can't blame your past, your circumstances, or other people. Those things may have shaped your situation, but they don't define your destiny. The moment you stop pointing fingers and start pointing inward, that's when power returns to your life. Because if it's your responsibility, it means it's within your control. David Rockefeller once said, "Success is owning your responsibilities and then acting on them with boldness." He didn't grow into one of the most influential figures in business by letting fear or laziness dictate his choices. He developed discipline, vision, and inner strength because he took control of his internal battle. You can do the same. This chapter isn't about beating yourself up. It's about waking up. It's about realizing that the strongest version of you is already there, buried under layers of excuses, bad habits, and old thinking. When you start paying attention to your thoughts, when you catch the voice that tells you to delay, to fear, to shrink, and you challenge it, you begin to shift. That's when the transformation begins. Owning the war inside you doesn't mean you'll win every round, but it means you show up. You stay aware, and you fight back when the weaker self tries to take over. That awareness alone will change your life. Every time you choose strength over comfort, discipline over distraction, action over excuse, you weaken the hold of that lesser version, and brick by brick, you start to build the real you. This is where it begins. Own the war. The rest of your journey depends on it. Number 2, stop making comfort your God. One of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck in the weaker version of themselves is comfort. We've been conditioned to believe that if something is uncomfortable, it must be avoided. But that thinking is a lie. Comfort is not your friend. It's a silent enemy. The weaker self is addicted to it. It craves the soft bed, the easy conversation, the mindless scrolling, and the avoidance of anything that feels hard. The problem, growth never happens inside comfort. If you keep making comfort your God, you will sacrifice your potential on the altar of ease. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because they felt scary? How many dreams have been shelved because they required a little risk, a little effort, a little discomfort? That's not life denying you. That's your weaker self talking you out of your future. Let me tell you about Robert Fields from New Jersey. He worked as a barista for nearly a decade. Every time he had an idea for something bigger, a mobile app, a podcast, a business, he'd let it fizzle. Why? Because it felt uncomfortable. He didn't want to look foolish. He didn't want to fail. He didn't want to feel the sting of rejection. Then one day, after a long shift and a moment of personal crisis, He had a realization. His comfort zone was killing his ambition. That night, he started coding. 1 hour a night, then 2, then 3. He got rejected by investors 17 times. But he kept going. Today, he runs a successful tech company. And when people ask him what changed, he says, "I stopped worshiping comfort." You see, comfort may feel good in the short term, but it has a long-term cost. And that cost is your future. The stronger self doesn't chase ease. It chases excellence. It understands that the pain of growth is far less than the pain of regret. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who avoided discomfort. They are the ones who learned how to walk through it, knowing that what's on the other side is worth far more than what they left behind. The next time something feels uncomfortable, whether it's speaking up, starting something new, waking up early, or taking that leap, don't retreat. Lean into it. Discomfort is a sign that you're stretching. It means you're moving. It means you're no longer standing still in a life that doesn't fulfill you. You can't eliminate your weaker self if you're always running from challenge. Challenge is what forges strength. Discomfort is what builds courage. Every time you step into what's hard, you chip away at the old you, the hesitant, soft version that's been holding you back. If you want to grow, you've got to go where it's not easy. Because comfort might make you feel safe, but it will never make you strong. Number 3. Rewrite the story you tell yourself. The stories you repeat to yourself every day become the blueprint of your life. Whether you realize it or not, you're always narrating something in your mind. What you can do, what you can't do, who you are, what you're worth. And here's the truth. Your weaker self is the author of a very limiting story. It says, "I'm not good enough. I've always been this way," or "people like me don't succeed." That inner dialogue becomes a prison. And you won't eliminate your weaker self until you change that narrative. Your life rises or falls based on the words you feed your mind. If you keep telling yourself you're stuck, that you'll never change, then you're handing the pen to fear, doubt, and past failures. But when you rewrite the story and start saying things like, "I'm capable, I can learn, I'm becoming stronger every day," everything starts to shift. Take Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. Born in a small Austrian village, he had every reason to believe he would live an average life, but he didn't accept that script. He rewrote it. He told himself he would become the best bodybuilder in the world. Then he wrote a new chapter, Hollywood actor, and another California governor. Each step required him to outgrow the story he once believed and write a better one. And he did that not just through action, but through belief. The stronger self isn't born out of talent or opportunity. It's born out of identity. You have to see yourself differently before you'll act differently. If you believe you're someone who always quits, you'll find a way to quit again. But if you believe you're someone who finishes what they start, you'll find a way to push through. Your actions will always follow your identity. So the key is to change who you believe you are. Start with your language. Stop saying, "I'm bad with money." Say, "I'm learning how to manage money." Stop saying, "I can't wake up early." Say, "I'm becoming the kind of person who rises early with purpose." These small shifts in your language shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your behavior. Your past does not have to dictate your future unless you let it. You've made mistakes. So has everyone. But the story doesn't end there. The moment you choose to write a new chapter, to believe in your ability to grow, you begin the process of eliminating that weaker self who wants to keep you stuck in old patterns. You are the author of your own life. Not your parents, not your past, not your fears. You. So grab the pen. Tear out the old script and start writing the story of strength, discipline, and victory that you were always meant to live. Number 4. Kill the excuse machine. If there's one thing the weaker self is incredibly good at, it's making excuses. It builds stories to protect your comfort, to justify your delays, and to shield you from growth. It will say things like, "I don't have the time, I'm not ready yet," or "I've tried before, and it didn't work." These excuses sound convincing, but they're lies disguised as logic. And every time you accept one, you give power to the version of yourself that wants to stay small. The truth is, time isn't the issue. Readiness isn't the issue. The issue is the mindset that looks for reasons not to move. The excuse machine is always running, always inventing reasons to stay idle. And the more you feed it, the more control it gains. You don't eliminate your weaker self by negotiating with your excuses. You eliminate it by cutting the power to the excuse machine entirely. Let me introduce you to Alicia Gomez, a single mother of 2 from Texas, working 2 part-time jobs just to keep the lights on. She had every excuse in the world to stay where she was. No time, no money, no energy. But one night, while waiting for her kids to fall asleep, she stumbled across an online course about education and decided to enroll. 10 minutes a day. That's all she could manage at first. But she made a rule: no excuses, just action. Day by day, she learned, she grew, and eventually she built her own tutoring business online. She now teaches hundreds of students around the country. And it all started when she silenced the voice of excuse and chose to act instead. You see, the difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is an opportunity. It's ownership. When you kill the excuse machine, you stop blaming time, money, age, energy, background, or other people. You say, this is my life, and I'm responsible for what happens next. That level of ownership is where your stronger self begins to rise. It's easy to make excuses. It's hard to take ownership. But guess where the rewards are? Always on the hard side. Always beyond the excuses. So the next time you hear yourself saying, I can't, pause and ask, is this true or just comfortable? Replace every excuse with a small action. Don't say, I don't have time. Say, let me find 10 minutes to begin. Don't say, I've tried before. Say, what can I do differently this time? The weaker self thrives on delay and justification. But the stronger self grows with every decision to move forward in spite of resistance. Excuses may feel safe, but they'll steal your future. So if you want to eliminate your weaker self, you must first destroy its greatest weapon, the excuse machine. Unplug it. Dismantle it and replace it with action, responsibility, and movement. Number 5. Master discipline over mood. One of the most dangerous lies your weaker self tells you is this: only act when you feel like it. That lie has kept more people average than failure ever has. If you want to eliminate your weaker self, you must stop depending on how you feel and start depending on what you've committed to. Because moods are fleeting. Discipline is steady. The weaker self waits for motivation. It needs the perfect playlist, the perfect weather, the perfect moment, but life doesn't give out results based on mood. It rewards consistency. The stronger self doesn't wait for the feeling. It builds a standard, a rhythm, a set of non-negotiables. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. Let's look at Benjamin Franklin, a founding father, inventor, writer, diplomat. He was known for his discipline long before he was known for his fame. Franklin created a strict personal schedule and lived by it, tracking virtues, planning each hour of his day, and holding himself accountable to his own standards. His achievements weren't the product of endless passion or excitement. They were the result of relentless discipline, practiced daily. Most people confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is an emotional boost. Discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. Every time you act in spite of how you feel, you add another layer to your stronger self. You train your brain to follow through regardless of the mood. That's how real growth happens. Not through inspiration, but through repetition. When you consistently show up, whether it's to the gym, the journal, your goals, or your craft, you rewire your mind to believe, this is who I am. Not someone who dabbles. Not someone who quits. Someone who shows up. Someone who finishes. You'll have days when you're tired. Days when your mind makes every excuse to delay. Days when nobody is watching. And those are the days that matter most, because they're the days that shape the person you're becoming. If you can push through on the hard days, you're building something that doesn't fade when the feeling does. Discipline doesn't mean living like a robot. It means you've made a decision that your future is more important than your current mood. You still feel things, but you don't bow to them. You keep moving forward. So how do you master discipline? Start small. Set a daily standard and hit it no matter what. Wake up at the same time. Do 10 minutes of focused reading. Write your goals. Take a walk. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be consistent. Because consistency creates momentum, and momentum destroys the grip of the weaker self. Discipline is freedom. Freedom from regret. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from wasted potential. Master it, and you won't just eliminate your weaker self. You'll unlock a version of you that you've never seen before. And that version, that's who you were meant to be. Number 6. Start with a single step. The weaker self loves to overwhelm you with the big picture. It whispers, that goal is too far. You'll never finish, or it's too much for someone like you. And what happens next? You freeze, you wait, you do nothing. But the stronger self understands something powerful. Every mountain is climbed, one step at a time. The most effective way to eliminate your weaker self is to stop obsessing over the finish line and simply take the first step. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need to move. Momentum is what builds confidence, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel ready, but readiness is a myth. You become ready by doing. Action builds belief. Let me tell you about Marcus Dean, a fast food worker from Ohio. For years, he dreamed of becoming a fitness coach. But every time he thought about it, the dream felt too big. Certifications, clients, branding, it was all overwhelming. So he kept flipping burgers, feeling stuck and unfulfilled. Then one day, he made a new decision. No more waiting for the perfect moment. That night, he did 30 minutes of research on certifications. The next day, he made a savings jar labeled Coach Fund. That weekend, he offered to train his cousin for free. Step by step, he built his future. Today, he's a full-time coach helping hundreds transform their lives. And it all started with one decision, one tiny step. You see, the weaker self wants all the answers up front. It wants certainty. But that's not how success works. You earn clarity by taking action, not by sitting in thought. The longer you delay, the more power you give to fear. But every time you take a step, no matter how small, you weaken that fear and strengthen your courage. The key is not to wait until everything is perfect. Start where you are with what you have. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings. A 5-minute walk can lead to a new lifestyle. A single journal entry can uncover your passion. A short call can change your network. The door to your stronger self doesn't swing open with a leap. It cracks open with one consistent step. If you keep thinking in terms of someday, you'll always stay stuck in today. But when you think in terms of right now, even the smallest action becomes the spark that lights the fire. Don't aim to conquer everything today. Aim to do one thing your weaker self would avoid. Read one page, send one message. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. The stronger self is built in moments like these, not through grand gestures, but by choosing progress over paralysis. So take the step. Don't wait for the right mood, the perfect plan, or permission. Start where you are. Begin now. Because your future isn't waiting for you to feel ready, it's waiting for you to move. Number 7. Cut ties with dream killers. One of the fastest ways to eliminate your weaker self is to separate yourself from the people and influences that keep it alive. You see, your environment isn't neutral. It's either feeding your strength or feeding your weakness. And far too often, the weaker version of you survives because you've allowed the wrong voices to surround you. The truth is, not everyone wants to see you grow. Some people are comfortable with the older, smaller version of you because it makes them feel better about their own lack of progress. When you start to elevate, it threatens their comfort. And rather than rise with you, they'd rather pull you back down. These are what I call dream killers. Sometimes they're loud and obvious. Other times, they're subtle. Friends who mock your new goals, family members who tell you to be realistic, or coworkers who roll their eyes at your ambition. Look at Oprah Winfrey's life. She grew up in poverty, surrounded by abuse and constant discouragement. She was told she wouldn't make it in television, that she was too emotional, too different. But she didn't let those opinions shape her identity. What did she do? She distanced herself from voices that doubted her and surrounded herself with mentors, readers, and thinkers who challenged her to grow. Over time, her circle became her strength. She outgrew her old environment and built a new one that reflected her future, not her past. If you're serious about eliminating your weaker self, you have to get ruthless with your associations. Ask yourself, who around me lifts me up? Who drains me? Who encourages discipline? Who tempts distraction? Take inventory and be honest. You don't have to cut people off with bitterness, but you do need to create distance between your future and their dysfunction. It's not just people either. Your influences matter. What you watch, what you listen to, what you read, all of it is programming your mind. Are you filling your brain with negativity, gossip, and fear, or are you feeding it growth, wisdom, and vision? You cannot plant seeds of greatness while soaking in a culture of mediocrity. The stronger version of you needs a supportive environment to grow. That means surrounding yourself with people who believe in excellence, who call you out when you drift, who remind you who you're becoming. It means limiting your time with those who pull you backward, even if they mean well. Your future is too important to be shaped by small minds and small conversations. Choose your circle with intention. Because the weaker self may have been born in a certain environment, but the stronger self must rise above it. Cut the ties. Guard your space. Build a circle that reflects where you're going, not where you've been. The weaker self can't survive in a room full of giants, so fill your room with giants, and you'll become one. Number 8, build your daily fortress. Your daily routine is either building you or breaking you. It's either strengthening the disciplined version of you, or it's silently feeding the weaker self. Most people don't even realize how much power they're handing over to their habits. They wake up late, scroll their phone for 30 minutes, skip breakfast and start the day in chaos, and then wonder why their goals feel out of reach. But here's the truth. Your future is hidden inside your daily routine. If you want to eliminate your weaker self, you must build what I call a daily fortress, a system of small, intentional actions that protect your time, energy, and focus. The stronger version of you doesn't just show up on the good days, it shows up because it's been trained to. And that training begins with structure. Let me introduce you to Karen Ellis, a school teacher from Florida. A few years ago, Karen was burned out, overwhelmed, and constantly playing catch-up with life. Her mornings were rushed, her evenings were unproductive, and her weekends were spent recovering rather than building. She knew something had to change. So instead of trying to overhaul her whole life, she started small. She committed to waking up 30 minutes earlier to read and plan her day. Then she added a 5-minute journal. Then she began preparing her meals ahead of time and limiting her screen time after 8 p.m. One habit at a time, she built a routine that supported her growth instead of draining her. The result? Karen regained control. Her energy returned. Her clarity improved. Her confidence grew. And eventually, she launched an online platform to help other teachers do the same. It all started by building a daily fortress that blocked out chaos and created room for strength. You don't need to copy someone else's schedule. Your routine should reflect your goals, your season, your purpose. But there are some key elements. Every strong routine includes a consistent wake-up time. Time for learning or reflection, movement or exercise. Planning ahead and moments of silence away from digital noise. These are your tools. Use them to build a stronger version of yourself. Here's the secret. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. Is your daily routine aligned with the life you say you want? Or is it just a loop that keeps you stuck? The weaker self is comfortable in chaos. It thrives on disorganization, unpredictability, and distraction. But the stronger self finds freedom in structure, peace in rhythm, and power in preparation. You are not what you occasionally do. You are what you consistently repeat. And if you want new results, you need new rituals. So take ownership of your day before the world does. Design a life that doesn't leave room for the weaker self to sneak in through the cracks. Your habits are the bricks. Your values are the blueprint. Now start building. Because when your days are fortified, your future is unstoppable. Number 9. Embrace failure as a forging fire. The weaker self fears failure. It runs from it, hides from it, and uses it as a reason to never try again. It says, "What if I fall?" The stronger self asks, "What if I fly?" If you want to eliminate your weaker self, you must change the way you see failure. It's not the end of the road. It's the fire that forges strength, clarity, and wisdom. Failure is not your enemy. In fact, it may be your most powerful teacher. Most people avoid failure because they've been conditioned to believe that it's a sign of incompetence. But that's simply not true. Failure only reveals effort. It proves that you stepped into the arena. It means you had the courage to try. And courage is the currency of growth. Let's take Thomas Edison, for example. The man failed over 1,000 times trying to invent the electric light bulb. Can you imagine failing 1,000 times? Most people would have quit after 5, maybe 10. But Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset is what separates the weak from the strong. Not success, but the ability to keep going in the face of setbacks. Your weaker self wants to avoid pain, but your stronger self understands that pain is part of the process. Growth isn't found in perfection. It's found in persistence. Every time you fail and choose to try again, you're telling the weaker voice inside, "You don't control me anymore." The key is to reframe failure. Instead of seeing it as defeat, see it as data. Ask yourself, what did I learn? How can I improve? What will I do differently next time? That shift turns failure from a stopping point into a stepping stone. It removes the shame and replaces it with purpose. But here's where most people go wrong. They personalize failure. They think failing at something means they are a failure. That belief is poison. Failing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're building. The strongest people on the planet have failed more times than most people have tried. Their success didn't come from never falling. It came from always getting back up. The next time you fall short, don't let it define you. Let it refine you. Let it sharpen your vision, your process, your resilience. That's how greatness is shaped, not in the comfort of winning, but in the lessons of losing. So embrace the stumbles. Welcome the missteps. Because every failure you face and rise from adds another brick to the foundation of your stronger self. Fire doesn't just burn, it purifies. Let failure do its work. Let it toughen your skin, deepen your wisdom, and light a fire that your weaker self can't survive. The road to your best self is paved with failed attempts, not flawless performances. Walk that road boldly. Number 10. Learn from the fall. Rise like a fighter. Falling isn't the problem. Staying down is. Every person striving for growth will eventually trip, stumble, or hit the ground hard. That's part of the journey. But what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck is what they do after the fall. The weaker self uses failure as confirmation that it was never meant to succeed. The stronger self uses the fall as fuel to come back, wiser, tougher, and more focused. Life will knock you down, sometimes hard, and sometimes it'll happen just when you thought things were finally starting to go your way. That's when the old thoughts creep in. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I should just give up. Those are the whispers of the weaker self. If you listen to them, they'll anchor you in regret. But if you challenge them, you'll rise. Let me tell you about Jake Miller, a man from Chicago who made some terrible choices in his early 20s and ended up in prison. When he was released, he had nothing, no job, no support, just a reputation and a criminal record. It would have been easy for him to surrender to the story people expected him to live out, but he didn't. Jake made a choice. He started volunteering at local youth centers, sharing his story. He took small jobs, read daily, and slowly rebuilt his life. 10 years later, he's a respected community leader, helping others stay off the same path he once walked. His strength didn't come from avoiding failure. It came from rising after he had fallen hard. You don't need a perfect past to create a powerful future. You just need the courage to rise. The stronger self doesn't pretend life is easy. It just refuses to quit. It sees failure not as a dead end, but as a detour towards something better. What you do after you fall is what defines you. Do you sit in self-pity, or do you evaluate, learn, and get back up? The fall gives you feedback. It exposes your weaknesses so you can address them. It reveals what matters most so you can focus better. It humbles you so you can grow deeper. Don't fear the fall, expect it. And when it comes, rise like a fighter. Shake off the shame, strip away the doubt. Remember why you started. Remember who you're becoming. Each time you rise, you chip away at the weaker self that wants to keep you small. Each time you stand back up, you prove to yourself that you're no longer the person who quits when things get tough. Fall down 7, get up 8. That's the rhythm of champions. That's the rhythm of your stronger self. So when life drops you to your knees, don't stay there. Rise, not just once, but every time. Because that's how you win the war within. Number 11. Manage your time like it's gold. Time is the most precious resource you have. Unlike money, you can't earn more of it. Unlike energy, you can't recharge it. Once it's gone forever. And yet, the weaker self spends time like it's unlimited, scrolling endlessly, procrastinating daily, reacting instead of creating. If you want to eliminate that weaker self, you have to manage your time like it's gold, because it is. Every day you're given 24 hours. That's 1,440 minutes. And how you spend those minutes determines the person you become. You don't just lose time, you trade it. You trade it for something every single moment. The question is, are you trading it for growth, or are you wasting it on things that don't move you forward? Let's take a look at Leonardo da Vinci. He wasn't just a painter, he was a scientist, an inventor, an architect, an engineer. How did he master so many disciplines in a single lifetime? It wasn't magic, it was intentional living. He guarded his time. He used each hour with purpose, driven by a sense of urgency and curiosity. He didn't wait for the perfect moment, He worked consistently with passion and precision. That's the mindset of the stronger self. Deliberate, focused, intentional. The weaker self, on the other hand, is reactive. It says, I'll do it later. It gives priority to what feels urgent instead of what's truly important. It fills the day with distraction instead of progress. It confuses movement with achievement. You need to flip that pattern. Start by planning your day before it begins. Don't let the world decide how you spend your time. Decide for yourself. Write down your top 3 priorities every morning. Ask yourself, what would the strongest version of me focus on today? Then do that first. Eliminate time thieves. That might mean deleting apps, setting boundaries with people, or creating distraction-free work zones. Protect your creative hours. Guard your morning like it's sacred. Most people give away their best hours to mindless noise. Don't be most people. Also, learn to say no. You can't do everything. You shouldn't try. Saying no to what doesn't matter is saying yes to what does. The stronger self knows this. It's selective, not scattered. And remember, productivity isn't about cramming more tasks into your schedule. It's about doing fewer things with greater focus. It's about spending more time on the right things. Your growth, your goals, your future. Your time is your life in minutes. Spend it wisely, because the version of you that wastes time is the same version that stays stuck. But the version of you that masters time, who lives each day with direction and clarity, that's the version who wins. So manage your time like it's gold, because it is. And if you want to build the life you were born for, you can't afford to waste another minute. Number 12. Invest in the future version of you. You are not just living for today, you are building for tomorrow. Every choice you make, every habit you form, every hour you spend is shaping the future version of you. The weaker self thinks only about now. It's obsessed with instant gratification, short-term comfort, and quick rewards. But the stronger self sees further. It understands that growth takes time, and anything truly valuable requires long-term investment. If you want to eliminate your weaker self, start thinking like an investor. Not in money, but in your potential. Where are you placing your time, energy, and focus? Are you planting seeds that will pay off next year? Or are you burning your fuel for a quick feeling today? Let me tell you about Crystal Ramirez, a former waitress from Texas. She worked double shifts for years, barely making ends meet. But instead of wasting her rare free hours watching TV or scrolling endlessly, she started learning graphic design through free online tutorials. She didn't know where it would lead. She just knew she wanted something better. Eventually, she began freelancing, built a client base, and started her own design agency. Today, she runs a 6-figure business, all because she chose to invest time in building skills instead of escaping the present moment. That's the mindset you need. Don't just work hard, work smart. Develop skills that will serve you in the long run. Read books that challenge you. Take courses. Save money. Practice discipline. These are deposits into the account of your future life. It's easy to spend all your energy surviving today, but if you want to thrive tomorrow, you have to build systems and habits today that your future self will thank you for. Whether it's improving your health, building your knowledge, strengthening your discipline, or expanding your network. Everything compounds. Every day you choose progress over procrastination, you're making a deposit. And one day the interest pays out in ways you never imagined. But remember, results don't come instantly. The weaker self will tempt you to quit when you don't see immediate rewards. It will say, this isn't working, or what's the point? That's when you need to stay focused. Growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. You have to think bigger than the moment you're in. Imagine your future self. Who is that person? How do they think? How do they carry themselves? What do they know that you don't? Then reverse engineer it. What can you do today that brings you closer to that version? The strongest people you admire didn't get there overnight. They made sacrifices. They delayed pleasure. They kept showing up. And now they're living the reward of choices made in silence. So ask yourself, are you consuming your future, or are you creating it? The weaker self spends everything it gets. The stronger self invests it all with vision and intention. Plant the seeds now. Water them daily. Because the harvest always belongs to those who choose to invest early and stay consistent. Number 13. Replace emotions with execution. Your emotions are valid, but they are not always accurate. One of the greatest traps the weaker self sets is convincing you that you must feel right before you act. It whispers you're too tired. You're not in the mood, or this just isn't the right time. And if you keep waiting for the perfect emotional state, you'll waste weeks, months, or even years of your life standing still. The truth is, high performers, the ones who build, lead, and create, don't rely on emotions. They rely on execution. They know that action leads and emotion follows. The stronger self doesn't wait to feel inspired. It takes action, whether it's raining or sunny, whether it's motivated or drained, whether it's confident or uncertain, because it understands a critical principle: motion creates momentum. Let's take Theodore Roosevelt. Throughout his life, he battled asthma, personal tragedies, and political setbacks, but he kept showing up. He once said, "Do what you can with what you have, where you are." That's the mindset of execution. He didn't always feel courageous, he didn't always feel strong, but he acted like it. And through action, he became it. You don't rise by listening to your feelings, you rise by mastering them. That doesn't mean ignoring them. It means not letting them control your decisions. You can acknowledge fatigue without surrendering to it. You can feel fear and still step forward. The stronger self learns to act in alignment with values, not moods. This is especially important when chasing goals. The excitement fades. The honeymoon phase of any new project wears off. That's when the weaker self shows up and says, "Let's skip today, or you deserve a break." One skipped day becomes two, then a week, then another broken promise to yourself. That's how the weaker self survives, through emotional justification. The solution is to train your mind to ask, what needs to be done, instead of how do I feel right now? This one question shifts your focus from reaction to responsibility. It pulls you out of the emotional spiral and puts your feet back on the path. Build routines that remove decision fatigue. Plan your workouts, meals, learning sessions, and work blocks in advance. That way, when your emotions say no, your schedule still says yes. The stronger self thrives on systems, because systems protect progress. And here's the beautiful irony. Once you act, the emotion you were waiting for often shows up. You start moving, and suddenly energy returns. You start writing, and inspiration flows. You push through the resistance, and confidence follows. Execution creates the very feeling the weaker self said you needed to begin with. So train yourself to move. Don't wait to feel like it. Don't ask for the mood to be right. Replace hesitation with motion. Replace emotion with execution. Because the more you act in alignment with who you want to become, the faster you silence the weaker voice, and the louder the stronger self becomes. Number 14. Visualize the stronger self. Before you can become the stronger version of yourself, you have to see it, not just with your eyes, but with your imagination. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It's mental rehearsal. It's the act of programming your brain to believe in a future before it arrives. And if you want to eliminate your weaker self, you must feed your mind a clear, compelling image of the person you're becoming. The weaker self survives on vague identity. It says, "This is just how I am." It convinces you to stay stuck by blurring the lines between who you are and who you could be. But when you visualize the stronger self, you create clarity. You start seeing the habits, the attitude, the mindset, and the decisions of that next-level version of you. And with clarity comes confidence. Let's talk about Trevor Nash, a struggling musician from Georgia. He was broke, playing in bars for tips, and battling deep self-doubt. But every night before bed, he'd close his eyes and picture a different reality. He saw himself performing in front of thousands. He imagined being backstage, recording in a studio, signing autographs after a show. That image became his anchor. Even when he was tired, even when nobody showed up, he still visualized the stronger version. It changed the way he showed up. It gave him posture, drive, and a new standard for how he worked. A year later, he signed with a label, released his first album, and started touring. He didn't wait to believe. He saw it first. Your brain doesn't distinguish much between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. When you consistently visualize your goals, your mind begins to align your behaviors with that vision. You start to think like that version, walk like them, speak like them. You naturally reject what no longer fits and lean into habits that serve your next chapter. But don't just see the result, see the process. Visualize yourself waking up early, staying focused, saying no to distractions, showing up with consistency. Don't just picture success. Picture the discipline that creates it. That's how you bridge the gap between who you are now and who you're becoming. Make visualization a daily ritual. Just 5 minutes. Quiet your mind, close your eyes, and imagine in detail your stronger self in action. What do they do when the alarm goes off? How do they handle pressure? How do they speak? What decisions do they make when no one is watching? The more you visualize that version of you, the more real it becomes. And when it becomes real in your mind, it begins to feel natural in your behavior. Suddenly, it's not something you're chasing. It's something you're stepping into. So stop replaying the past. Stop reinforcing the weaker version of you with old stories and old pictures. Create a new mental movie. See the stronger self clearly, boldly, daily. Because if you can see it, you can become it. Number 15. Create a legacy, not just a life. At some point, you must stop thinking only about the next paycheck, the next weekend, or the next comfort, and start thinking about the mark you'll leave behind. The weaker self lives day to day, focused only on survival, pleasure, and convenience. But the stronger self has vision. It asks deeper questions. What am I building? Who will benefit from the life I lead? What legacy will I leave when I'm gone? If you truly want to eliminate your weaker self, you must aim higher than just a good life. Aim for a meaningful one. The weaker self wants to fit in. The stronger self wants to stand for something. Take Helen Keller, born blind and deaf. Her life could have easily been consumed by limitations. But instead of letting her circumstances define her, she chose to rise. She learned to communicate. She earned a college degree. She became a speaker, a writer, and a global symbol of strength. But she didn't stop with personal success. She used her platform to fight for disability rights, education, and equality. Her name still echoes today because she didn't just live, she led. That's legacy. Legacy isn't about fame or fortune. It's about impact. It's about what you contribute to your family, your community, and the world. And it starts with how you live today. Your children, your friends, your coworkers, they're all watching you. Whether you know it or not, they're learning how to show up by watching how you do it. They're learning how to handle adversity, how to lead, how to love, and how to grow by watching your example. When you eliminate your weaker self, you don't just change your life. You give others permission to change theirs. You become proof that growth is possible. You show what's possible when someone takes full ownership of their potential. Legacy is built in the quiet moments. It's built when you show up even when no one's clapping. When you stay consistent even when no one's watching. When you make the tough decision because it's the right one, not the easy one. You don't have to wait until you're older to think about legacy. Every action today is shaping it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you uplift someone else, every time you push through the hard moment, you're writing your legacy in real time. So ask yourself, if someone told your story a year from now, 5 years from now, or 50 years from now, would you be proud of what they said? Would they say you gave it your all, that you lived with courage, that you made others better just by being in the room? The weaker self only thinks about now. The stronger self lives with the end in mind. Live in such a way that your name means something long after you're gone. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to build a life, it's to leave a legacy. And that begins the moment you choose to rise. You've met both versions of yourself. The weaker one and the stronger one. The weaker self is the voice that whispers, take it easy. You're not ready, you'll never make it. It hides behind fear, waits for perfect timing, and settles for comfort over growth. But now you've also seen what the stronger self is capable of. It's the version of you that takes ownership, rises after failure, acts with purpose, and builds a life that matters. Eliminating your weaker self is not a one-time event. It's a daily decision. Every day you're voting with your actions. You vote for the weaker self when you choose distraction over discipline, excuses over execution, and comfort over challenge. You vote for the stronger self when you get up early, follow through on your word, stay consistent, and do the hard things even when no one is watching. This journey won't always be easy. There will be setbacks. There will be days when the old you tries to take the wheel again. But now, you're aware. You've learned how to take control. You've learned how to build discipline, manage your time, protect your energy, and move even when you don't feel like it. You've learned how to think long-term, how to lead yourself, and how to create a legacy, not just a lifestyle. So here's the challenge. Starting today, make your choices align with the life you say you want. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Replace hesitation with action. Replace fear with focus. Replace doubt with discipline. That weaker version of you is no longer welcome. It's time to take everything you've learned and step boldly into who you were meant to become. You already have everything you need. The power is in you. The vision is clear. The habits are outlined. All that's left is for you to take the first step, and then the next one, and then the next one. Momentum builds, and over time, the weaker self fades into the past. Not because you wished it away, but because you outgrew it. You rose above it. You built a new identity, one choice at a time. So make that choice now. Decide to live with intention. Decide to lead with discipline. Decide to eliminate your weaker self and unleash your true potential. Because the greatest version of you isn't found, it's created. And starting right now, you have everything it takes to build it. Keep going, keep rising, keep becoming. The choice is always yours. Make it count.